This is Tina with Tia's Treasures. Today I have for you the Hero Arts July 2022 kit. Let's take a gander and see what's in here. We have some beautiful gems in pink and teal, which match the kit, as you will see. We have 5 ink cubes in Cotton Candy, Peony, Azalea, Arctic, and Paradise. We have some Hero Pearls in teal. I don't know if it's supposed to do this. It's kind of like a child's safety lock. I haven't used it yet, but I did notice that this is all kind of frilly. We have, lastly, our frame cuts and our stamp set, which is a Heroscapes, I guess, stamp set with some flamingos and a little water, and it's got a few clouds, some dragonflies, some grasses. Somebody said this was a shrimp. Oh yeah, I guess it is a shrimp. I kept looking at it and thinking it was like a tail there and a little, well, I thought that was a head, and I thought it was a little lizard that looked like it was curled up and dying to me. And this are little shrimps or something to that effect. There's some little fishies, another dragonfly, more grass, and stand tall, darling, happy birthday, flamazing, and you are, so you are flamazing. And our little beautiful card here. Isn't that gorgeous? And of course, we get our handy dandy bag. And I have a couple add-ons that I bought. I have this stamp bundle of, is there a name for this? The Cockatoo Bundle. Fun little bird. Happiest birthday wishes. Your special hello friend. And then we've got the Birds of Paradise bundle. So I think I'll be making 3 cards with the flamingos, at least 3. And then a couple with these. I might mix and match, but I will try my best to at least make a couple cards with nothing but the kit content. There are a lot of cards that are similar to probably what I'm going to make, but as always, I will give my own little fun touches to the cards or my fun little failings, whatever the case is. So we will do that coming up next. We are going to start out by stamping these with the ink that came in the kit. We're going to do this twice, and from there we may move on. I'm not sure which one of these is darker. Might move on to some different colors. If I get these cubes open, let's see. Let me find a piece of junk paper to swatch these out on. Do I have any junk paper? Oh, well, this will work. We got this one, which is pretty juicy. That's the Peony and the Cotton Candy. I am positive the Azaleas, the darkest ones. We don't have to do that. Okay, so there goes my dogs in the background. No manners at all. So this is the way it goes. Excellent. I'm gonna pick this up. Oh no, I have some yellow ink on my door there. Don't know how that happened. Get that off. It's not gonna hurt anything, but it's annoying me. It's fresh yellow ink. Don't even ask. I was looking at my old Hero Arts inks, and I noticed I had like 2 lemon drops. One was like Hero Use, and one just said like Hero Arts on it. So I was curious if they were the same. So I got sidetracked and swatched them out and sprayed them with the water, and I think they're the same. Maybe not. I sprayed them with so much water, it's hard to tell. I might just do it again in, you know, a better swatching. I actually stamp them out and then let them dry and then just spritz them with a little water instead of like the whole thing. So let's ink up these flamingos. Let's get that. I have not done this before with this stamp set, so I'm not sure what kind of color or results we are going to get. But that is the fun thing about playing with these. Ooh, nice and flamingo-y. It's gonna look a bit splotchy to begin with, I bet. And see, splotchy is all heck. That's the thing with these little cubes. Sometimes, well, even with the big ones, you get the splotches. But I think with these little ones, sometimes I find my stamping is even more splotchier on the bigger stamps. Let's just squish those down. And these should even out. Well, I don't know. I think I'm going to do it again by the bottom. Even out my butt, right? They should, but we'll see. So let's see if third time's a charm. I'm only going to make you watch this once. I'm not going to make you watch me flip it around and do it again. Hopefully that's not too much ink. And now we're going to use the cotton candy. We're going to fill this up. I don't know if you can tell, but that second one, but I only did this twice. I think it's because it was a new stamp. I might redo that. We'll see how it turns out, though, in the end. Same color. Get this lined up. And put this one away. Move this over by me for a second. This way you don't have to see my great big head in the way. I can just get that where it should be and then put that where you can see it. Not that there's anything wrong with my great big head. It's just, come on, who wants to see that? Okay, where's my magnet? There it is. There it is. There it is. And now cotton candy. I love cotton candy, even as an adult. I go to the ball game. I'm the adult buying the cotton candy. I just saw on Amazon that they have a cotton candy maker, and you can use hard candies for it. You have to crush them up, but I'm like, really? You can use like sugar-free hard candies. And I'm like, ooh, that might work. It's like, I love the sugar-free hard candies. That way I get my cotton candy fix. I just wish there was a hard candy that tasted like cotton candy. You know, that kind of cotton candy flavor. I'd be all over that. Like I said, I am a weird adult who loves cotton candy. I just have a really bad sweet tooth. I'm trying to get rid of it a bit, I guess, by avoiding sugars, but it's not really working too well. I guess maybe if I start drinking my coffee with just some cream in it, no sweetener at all. I use an artificial sweetener now, which, you know, I know is not always the best thing for you, but yeah, I guess I'd have to give up sweetener altogether to get rid of my sweet tooth. I don't drink soda, so that's, you know, there's that at least. Well, for whatever reason, it doesn't look like this one lined up anyway. That's the one we kind of oversaturated with the peony ink. Just didn't want to take, so I'm going to be doing that over again. So let's just finish this one here. I'm not even going to bother with the other one. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm the only one that my Misty sometimes gives me fits. It doesn't like me all the time. Get that lined up. That is lined up. And And my magnet is not on there. And for this, we're doing the Azalea. If I can ever get it open. Ah, there we go. And I got it all over me. Get that wiped off nice. And get this stamped nice and pretty. Oh, look, there's a spot you can see we missed. Ah, nice and pretty, huh? Those legs. Hopefully we only have to stamp that. I think I missed a spot there too. And we're just gonna get their feet now. Feet, 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 feet. Why won't your feet stamp? There we go. Yay. And get that one wiped off. These are going to be dyed pink forever. Bring that closer to me. Okay, let's hope for the best. Let's hope our little beaks aren't offset, because that would be bad. Oh, what kind of ink? I could do some Heroes Intense Black, or I could do the VersaFine. I think I'm going to do some VersaFine, just because that is usually a one-stop black ink. What is my dog seeing? Golly. Yay, woot. Okay, there we are. Now I'm going to come back when I have them cut out. So for this first card here, I went ahead and I have the flamingos all stamped out with the colors that came in the kit. We've got the cotton candy, the peony, and the azalea. And then for the water, I've got the paradise and the Arctic. Arctic for a beach seems kind of wrong. But for my sand there, that's frayed burlap and antique linen, that's distress oxide. And the sky is tumbled glass. And then I went ahead and I used the Simon Says stamp, white ink, the white pigment ink. It's so juicy that I don't use it a lot, but I went ahead and I used it for the clouds. And it worked out in this case because the clouds have, they're darker in some spots and lighter in others. So it kind of gives it that cloudy, wispy look. And I went ahead and I used the cloud stamps that came in this kit for my little clouds on top there. And now I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to glue down my card base or my card front to my card base. And I have a little bit of issue. It doesn't want to lay flat, and I have to kind of pull it off and redo it, which I cut out so you didn't have to see that. But for the rest of the cards, I end up using my Score Buddy to make stuff nice and even. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to take the sentiment, "You are flamazing," and we're going to stamp that out. We're going to use my Misty because if I didn't, chances are that I would screw up the stamping and I would screw up my card. So I am just trying to make sure that my flamingos and the stamp is going to all fit nicely. And it does. And so I'm just putting that down right now. If I seem a little flustered, it's because I already did this voiceover once. I got like through 3 cards and my program crashed. My editing program crashed on my Mac, and I lost everything. At least I didn't lose the footage, so that's something. So here I am. I'm doing this over again, and it's like, well, what did I say the first time? I don't know. We'll just try to figure it out as we go along. So I stamped that out. You Are Flamazing again, and it stamps beautifully. I was using the VersaFine Onyx Black ink, and I just love that ink. I probably mentioned it before. I mention it all the time. I think it's some of the best ink for stamping black. And now I am just using some regular glue, and I'm going to glue down my flamingos into the water onto the beach, kind of right there at that line. And I just think it is so cute. I had a lot of fun with this kit. Now originally I was only going to make you 4 or 5 cards, but I ended up with 7 because I kept finding more things that I wanted to do. Now I brought in some little gems that I had for a long time. I've got them in multicolors, and I'm using some little pink, 3 little pink gems up in the right hand corner. Now, I do love the pink and teal gems that came in this kit, but they were a little too bright, I thought. Now, for this second card, I took some gray Simon Says Positively Saturated ink, and I used that to make my little flamingos. And then I ink blended the background, a sunset, and I stamped out Stand Tall, Darling, and I fussy cut it out. And obviously it's on white paper with black stamping. And I ended up not liking that. I thought it was a little bit too stark. And I ended up tearing it off, which tore the paper. So then I decided I needed to do it in white on black cardstock. But because I tore the paper up, I had to kind of do a much bigger square of black cardstock in the upper corner than I wanted to. And I don't like the way it looks at all, but I kind of locked myself in after I ripped off the white Stand Tall, Darling. I screwed up my card. It's not as nice as it originally looked, but I couldn't go backwards. So there's the 3 inks that I used. And I don't have them in front of me, and I didn't read them quick enough to tell you what they are, but I'm sure you could have seen what they were. I love the Simon Says stamps. So here's our inks. We used Chipped Sapphire, Blueprint Sketch, Wilted Violet, Picked Raspberry, Crackling Campfire, Wild Honey, and Mustard Seed going down. And the beach, or the sand there, is Blueprint Sketch and Chipped Sapphire. And the water itself, I believe, is Chipped Sapphire. And I think I used a little Villainous Potion on top of it for the little waves. You can see the waves if you look. I couldn't think of a darker kind of, other than black, to use on it. And I didn't want to use black. So here I am just gluing down my sentiment in that corner, and I really wish I would have either kept that or, not ripped it off. If I would have at least tried to fussy cut my black and put that on top, my black cardstock, and put it on top of there, I think that would have worked a little bit better. But in the end, it's just a card. It's just paper. I love the way these black and white flamingos look. I think maybe if I darkened up the sky a bit more even for the darker flamingos. At any rate, that's what we're doing. We're learning, we're experimenting. And now I've got my little jewels. I put some in the upper left-hand corner, and a couple in the lower right hand corner. And you're going to see my messed up card here momentarily because I do end up showing it to you. And you're going to go, oh yeah, the first one looked a lot better. See? Yeah, that square is just way too big, but I had to cover up some spots where I tore the paper. So what are you going to do? Now for this third card, let's cross our fingers and hope that I don't lose lose my voiceover again. I use for the penguins surf, ocean, and seafoam. And I just love it. I used for the sky, I used the flamingo, the kitsch flamingo, which being as these are flamingos, I just thought that was fitting. And for the beach, we've got dried marigold and rusty hinge. And for the water, that was Victoria Velvet and Dusty Concord. So I just kind of wanted to do something a little bit different. So I did decide that I was going to make blue flamingos. And if you have blue flamingos, well, you need a pink sky. And so I am bringing in the sentiment, Hello Friend, and that is from the bundle, I believe the Cockatoo Bundle from Hero Arts that I bought. So I brought that sentiment in and we stamped that down on the sand. And I think out of all the flamingo cards, I think this one is my favorite just because it is different. I haven't seen anybody else with a pink sky. I've seen some of the other like flamingos and whatever, but this is my little creation. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue that front. After I glue my flamingos down, I'm going to glue it onto my card base. All my card bases are A2, 5.5 by 4.25. And all my flamingos are glued flat because it would have been kind of a pain putting foam tape behind it. I could have probably used some of the foam sheets, but I didn't think of it at the time. So we've got our little flamingos and glued down and our stamp that says Hello Friend, and now we are just putting some little pink gemstones all over this card front. And I just love this card. So this is card number 3, and I'm sorry that sometimes I go off camera. Now for this one here, I was going to originally stamp all these leaves all over the background and color them in a green. And I remembered that I had this foiled background from Brutus Monroe that was just in my stash, and it was pretty much the same exact kind of leaves. So I'm like, I'm going to use that. And so I took some green cardstock, a solid piece of green cardstock from my stash, and I took my foiled Brutus Monroe background, and I'm just cutting that down a little bit. That was 4 by 5.25, so it fits on my green cardstock background. And I took the sentiment, You Tickle Me Pink, and I went ahead and I stamped that out in the Azalea pink ink that came in the kit. And we purposely cut this one in a square because I want it to be what my flamingos are standing on. And so I just glued all that down to my card base, and I'm going to glue my sentiment down and make sure that my flamingos are kind of centered there in the middle. And this is going to be a quick and easy card. Now these Brutus Monroe backgrounds, I think they might have come in some kits, but you can get them in their black toner, and you can foil over them with a laminator or a mink. And so that's what I used. And hi everybody. And I'm just kind of checking out my card, making sure it's all even there before we glue down our sentiment and our flamingos. And this is just a real fun card. like I said, you could have stamped out the leaves from the Cockatoo stamp set, and I think that would have made a fun background too, or there's all sorts of things. I'm sure almost everybody's got leafy, leafy flourishes in their stash that they could stamp behind and put the flamingos in front of as well. So this is card number 4. We're moving pretty quick. For card number 5, I again have like a sunset background that's real similar to card number 2. I did a little bit different. And I am going to take the grasses and the dragonfly that came in the kit, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to arrange them on the right and the left hand side. The grasses, that is, not the dragonfly. And I was looking for a Hero Arts cattail, I think they're called. Cattail, I want to say. It's what I called them growing up. And I didn't have one. So I brought in a cattail from a Simon Says stamp set. Totally something, I think. What is it called? It's called Totally Unforgettable. And I'm going to use that. If you have a different cattail, you can use that, or you can use some other sort of grass that grows by the water, or you can just use the same grass, the two, and repeat it if you'd like, or kind of pile them up so there's one on top of the other to make it taller. All sorts of things. The only thing with this is that the cattail is not a solid image, so I am going to have to color it in to get it to match the solid grasses and the dragonflies. And I really love the dragonflies. And here I'm showing you the inks, which are the same ones that I used on card number 2. And the water in this case was the Blueprint Sketch and the Chip Sapphire. And I think that looks a little better than the ones I used on card 2. But we didn't use any sand on this one, just the water. And now I've got like an N6 gray that I tried. I never see anybody use the black Copic. But I have a black Copic, and I decided that, it's darker, and I needed a darker color to match the grass and the dragonflies. So I colored this entire image in. I'm not going to show my coloring at all. It's just, there it is. It turned out wonderful. And I am going to take the sentiment from the card kit, the bundle. Which one was that? That's the Bird of Paradise bundle, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use With Deepest Sympathy, and I'm going to stamp that out with the Onyx black ink. Eventually I'm going to stamp it out anyway. Right now I'm just trying to make sure it's all centered, and as I'm looking for something here. So I'm noticing that I have a couple of my stamp sets not packaged in the right. I have the dies with the wrong set. So if you hear crinkling, I'm just fixing a few things in the background while I'm sitting here doing the voiceover. So now I am using some Simon Says dot runner because I don't want to lift up that panel and smudge the ink, and I figure I can be very careful and just touch the edges if I'm using dot runner, which was why I use the dot runner. And I don't want any jewels or anything on a sympathy card. You don't want to bling up a sympathy card. I mean, some people might want bling on a sympathy card, but I think it's a bit tacky myself. So now for card number 5. I am moving on to the Bird of Paradise bundle, and I heat embossed the Bird of Paradise and the butterfly in some Fun Stamper's Journey Gold Embossing Powder. I was surprised that that's the only gold embossing powder I have, other than some sparkly glitter gold. And I didn't want to use that. So I'm coloring this all up, and it's on watercolor paper, and I'm using my Zig Real Clean markers, or I can't think of the name of them. They're definitely Zig Real Color markers, I think they're called. And I don't show me coloring the whole thing. I kind of speed this way up and skip ahead. But I'm using the same greens, believe it or not, on all of the greenery in this kit. It's just I use 3 colors for these leaves, and I've got 2 colors that I end up using on some of the other leaves. And I thought I was going to use this watercolor paper as my card base, but you don't end up seeing me smudge it up on the side, so I did end up die cutting it out. Now I've got some just a simple blue that I use on the upper flower there, along with a flamingo pink again, and an orangey color, like a corally orangey, that I blended out together. Really pretty look. And see, there's the blue that I used. Just when I was looking up images, they had like an orangey color with some blue. I was surprised. And I would have thought the top would have just been one color. But, you know, it's a beautiful, beautiful plant. Just love it. I love the way this coloring turned out. And my butterfly was 2 oranges because I didn't want it to clash. And so it matches a lot. And now I've got this blue pearlescent paper that I think I'm going to use as a background. I thought about like watercoloring a blue wash behind and putting my Bird of Paradise on that. But I have so much of this pearl cardstock that I use it for this and the next card. And I end up bringing a piece of gold specialty paper. It's kind of a gold with texture. It's a tonic paper. I think they still sell it. And I'm going to use that behind our pearlescent paper because we've got the gold embossing, and I didn't want something too shiny. So this actually ends up being perfect. Now I end up stamping Thinking of You right up there in the corner, and we're going to heat emboss that. We're going to use some VersaFine Onyx Black ink, and we're going to put some clear embossing powder over it. And you're going to see a little bit of that. I just love the font on like this on this Cockatoo bundle, and then I've got the Birds of Paradise bundle, and I love the font on both of them. I think they're the same font. I do not think it's the same font that came in the kit though. That's more printing, where these are nice and scripty. And see, there is me using the clear embossing powder. Now I accidentally grabbed white at first and poured that on. So because I kept my the stamp in my MISTI, I was able to brush off the white, restamp the Thinking of You in the same position, and then put the clear on top of it. I mean, I feel like a lot of times, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Ray Rayner from Chicago, like 40 years ago, 50 years ago, he had a children's show where he would do crafts. Someone would do a beautiful one, and he would try to copy it, and he would always mess it up, and it always looked like it looked like a 4-year-old had done the craft instead of a grown man, and that's what I think my cards look like sometimes. But, you know, I do my best. So I ended up warping this cardstock a bit, so I had to really play with it to get it to stick. I should have used some tape runner. That would have done a much better job instead of using liquid glue. but the liquid glue I thought would get into the texture of the gold cardstock. So if anything, maybe I should have used a combination of both. I think that the tape runner would have let my pearlescent cardstock lay down a lot flatter. So I am just gluing my bird of paradise right up there, and I'm going to put the butterfly right off to the right hand side. And I'm not going to use any other embellishment because I think with the gold embossing and a little bit of the gold background, we don't need it as much. And you actually could stamp with deepest sympathy inside this card if you need to, or just hello, whatever you wanted. Now for our last card here, I took the cockatoo and the hibiscus and the leaves, and I colored those all with my Copics. We'd be here all day if I would have showed me coloring that. So I did not, and I die cut it all out, and we're going to put it on a blue-green piece of pearlescent cardstock with a green background. And we've got, just green cardstock from my stash. And we're going to glue that down. Now, I glued down this branch, and I probably should have ended up spacing out everything first, but I kind of knew where everything was going because I did figure out where it was going to go earlier, but that was like yesterday, and today I'm like, well, where did I exactly have it? It still works out though. It's all good. So we're coming to the end of this video, and if you didn't mind listening to me and you like my cards, or you don't like them and like to just hate watch me, that's okay too. Please go ahead and hit the thumbs up. That would help me tremendously. And or subscribe. I really want to get to 500. I've been kind of stuck where I'm at for a while, and I would love for you to subscribe. But even if you don't subscribe, I'm glad you're here. Thank you so much for watching. So I end up popping up our little cockatoo, and well, first though, I'm trying to arrange these flowers, and when I get it perfect, I don't want to mess with it again, so I grab a piece of press and seal I have off to the side, and I just press it all down. That way I know these flowers are going to be exactly like I arranged them, and I'm not going to have to mess with them again. But I just, as I was deciding, I was getting ready to glue that down, I'm like, no, let's pop it up. Just because we glued the branch down doesn't mean we can't pop up our bird. So we popped up our little bird there. Now our little bird is colored in some yellow oranges. Well, yellow red actually is the Copic, I think, a real light yellow red. That's the color they have for like oranges or yellow reds. And then my hibiscus was some red violets, like a pinky red violet, more of a red violet, and then we've got some greens we used. If you like, I can list them. I think I wrote those down. If I can find where I wrote them down, I will list it in the description. But yeah, I popped up the florals. I end up using the sentiment you're going to see here, happiest bird day wishes. Now I do end up fussy cutting that out, and I use some white cardstock to do it with a black heat embossed. Well, I heat embossed it clear with the black Versafine black onyx ink. Rambling again here. I'm looking to see where I did with, I know I wrote down the Copic colors on a post-it note, but my post-it note seems to be missing. So if I can't find it, I'm not going to be able to tell you what I used. And that is so disappointing. I have stuff all over the place, so maybe I will find it. I just have to clean up my mess. I have all these cards. But yeah, so my card bases are some Accent Opaque 120 pound. And I stamped out all my images except for the Bird of Paradise. That's Canton Watercolor XL. All my images were stamped out on some Nina Solar White 110 pound. And they were just wonderful. And I'm just fussy cutting this out. I do not do a good job fussy cutting. This one's not too bad. I can kind of fake it, but they still don't look as good as I see other people fussy cut. So I wonder if I just need different scissors. I've tried different small scissors, and I don't know. You'll have to tell me what scissors you use to fussy cut. And now I'm going to just pop up the one side and put some glue on the other side and glue it right there in the lower left hand corner. And we're going to put a few green jewels all around, just 3 of them, 3 little green gems. I struggle with gem placement. Some people just can go boom, boom, boom. And I'm sorry I cut off the cockatoo's head here, so you can't see the first jewel yet, but you'll get a good look at it when I show you my 7 cards at the end of this video, which is coming up right after we put these jewels down. So you don't have to wait too long. I probably should bring my laptop in and try to mirror it when I'm filming, but I find sometimes there's lag, so it doesn't do a whole lot. So here we have card number 1. We're gonna pull that down in a second because I'm not sure you can see the whole thing. Now you can. There's card number 2, which is beautiful except for that big black square, which we're just gonna ignore. Card number 3, which is just amazing. Our little pink sky. Our little card, no, I don't know. Card number 4 there with our foiled leaves. I can never remember what those leaves are called. I should know. Card number 5. I actually didn't lose count of my cards for a change, which is like amazing for me. There's card number 6. And finally, you can see all of card number 7, all in all its glory. So anyway, bye-bye for now.